God works hard, but this Twitter page works harder. As you can see, my friends, on the 20th of February, this FNAF movie updates Twitter page posted the following tweet. Big news, everyone. We've gotten confirmation that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is officially set to begin filming on July 1st, 2024 in New Orleans. And then there's a picture of a document showing that the FNAF 2 movie is currently in the pre-production phase and is set to start shooting on the 1st of July. Now, this particular Twitter account has been posting information about the FNAF movies since April of 2023, and they're a very active page as well, so the admin must be a die-hard FNAF fan, which is very cute and wholesome in my opinion. Keep doing what you do, my friend. This account has done great work in the past by extensively updating FNAF fans about the first movie, going so far as to share set leaks and inside information on the first movie, so I believe this document and this information is indeed coming from a credible source. Other news outlets like Screen Rant have also reported similar information about the second FNAF movie, stating that filming will start in July. But one thing the Twitter page shared that Screen Rant didn't was this document right here, showing that, amongst other things, Matthew Lillard and Piper Rubio will be returning for the second movie. This is great news. They were two of my favorite actors from the first movie, and their involvement in the second movie also heavily implies that Josh Hutcherson and Elizabeth Lail will be returning as well, because Josh and Piper's characters are very connected to each other, and likewise Matthew and Elizabeth's characters are very connected as well. Also, I just couldn't imagine a movie with only Matthew and Piper's characters in it, because they're not particularly connected to one another, so that's another reason why I think Josh Hutcherson and Elizabeth Lail will be in this second movie. If you're going to have Abby, you gotta have Mike, and likewise, if you're going to have William, you gotta have Vanessa as well. Now, I loved Josh Hutcherson in the first FNAF movie, and I think Elizabeth Lail did great as well. She got turned into a meme alongside Josh Hutcherson, and I hope this second movie allows her and her character to shine even more. I'm curious as to whether the writers are planning on eventually making Vanessa become Circus Baby, because in the games, Circus Baby is an animatronic who is possessed by the spirit of William Afton's daughter, Elizabeth Afton. But in the movies, William Afton's daughter is named Vanessa instead. So could this name change potentially mean that they're not planning on making Vanessa Circus Baby? Could the name change mean that Circus Baby will end up being somebody else instead, like Abby? I really hope not, because I really don't want to see Abby get hurt. And in general, my favorite parts of the first FNAF movie were the non-horror parts. I think that's when the movie was most enjoyable. So I hope they keep the horror elements to a minimum in the second movie. And I know that's a weird thing to say considering that FNAF is a horror franchise, but personally, I just feel that the first FNAF movie was at its best when it was mellow and wholesome. Other things to note from this document is that Amma Tammy will in fact be returning to direct the second movie and will once again be co-writing it alongside the man himself, Scott Cawthon. The second movie will reportedly be shot in and around New Orleans, which is where they shot the first movie as well. So because of all this information, it seems pretty likely that this second movie will be a direct continuation of the events of the first movie. Now, this is really interesting because in the games, FNAF 2 takes place years before FNAF 1. But since this movie will probably be a direct sequel to the first, the writers are probably gonna have to make some changes to the timeline and the overall structure of the FNAF franchise. In fact, they kinda already did change a lot of things from the games in the first movie. For example, Balloon Boy never showed up in the first FNAF game, and neither did Springtrap, but in the first movie, both Balloon Boy and Springtrap make appearances. So I'm pretty sure that the FNAF movies are going to follow their own timeline and lore, while also simultaneously trying to stay as true to the source materials as possible. I was initially a little worried by the fact that they were making some changes to the lore, but ultimately with Scott Cawthon co-writing the first and second FNAF movies, I do feel that he has a plan in store for the overall narrative and that everything will eventually make sense in the end. Personally, I'm very glad that this second movie is looking like a direct sequel to the first, because number one, we get to see the continuation of Mike and Abby's story, which is awesome because they are such lovable characters. And number two, it gives the movie a chance to tie some of the loose threads from the first movie, like the state of Vanessa's health, Aunt Jan's mysterious disappearance, William Afton's ambiguous death, Balloon Boy's random appearances, and so on and so on. What I would love to see in this second movie is for iconic characters from the second game to be introduced, like the Puppet and Mangle. Those two have always had cool, unique designs in my opinion, and I would love to see a live-action rendition of them because the animatronic suits in the first movie looked so good and they only had a $20 million budget to work with back then. So imagine what they could do with the suits and the sets with an even bigger budget. Honestly, I'm very excited for this second movie. They have so much ground to cover and this second story could go in so many different directions. I would love to see more of Mike's past be explored. I would love to see a scene of Mike and Abby meeting for the first time. That would be really cute. I would love to know more about the ghost children, Mike's brother Garrett. Maybe Garrett will end up being the puppet. I would love to see more of William Afton because I don't think he's dead. But at the same time, I don't think I would want him as the villain again for the second movie. I think that role can go to Golden Freddy or the puppet instead. Maybe they could even have a redemption arc for William Afton in the future. Who knows? A few final things I would love to see in this second movie are the return of MatPat and Corey X Kenshin's characters, and hopefully, the introduction of Markiplier's character. If you didn't know, Markiplier was initially supposed to be in the first movie as the security guard in the beginning sequence. But due to scheduling conflicts, Markiplier could not make it for the shoot as he was working on his own movie called Iron Lung. But hopefully everything works out and he can be in this upcoming movie because I would say he played a big role in making FNAF as popular as it is today, and it just wouldn't feel right to do this franchise without Markiplier. That's something I really liked about the first movie. They made it for the fans. The love and respect for the fans were absolutely there and could be felt. And when you give love, you get love. So it's not a surprise that the first FNAF movie became the highest grossing horror film of 2023. And I hope this second film can make even more money in the box office because I want to see more of Josh Hutcherson. I hope you're as excited for FNAF 2 as I am, my friends. Thank you for watching. I hope this video brought a smile to your face, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And remember, that's just a theory. A film theory.